solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States.
the Constitution of the United States.
How did you know that was the path that you wanted to take after you exited the service? Because you had so many available options to you upon exit.
What are you talking about? So many available options. I didn't have jack shit.
Yeah.
I was a political science major, which is a very generalist degree that doesn't have any directly transferable skills, unlike accounting or computer science. Right? Business school is the degree for people who don't know what they want to do. No, I'm not even like being facetious.
Yeah.
It is 100%. That's why so many veterans choose to go to business school. If they knew what they wanted to do, then they will probably go do something else. Unless, like, okay, I want to go into investment banking. That's what I want. And of course, they go to business school as well. Business school just opens a lot of doors for you. If you go to a good business school, hundreds of firms will come to the university campus to recruit people like you. And these will be investment banks, consulting firms, CPG firms, tech firms, startups. Private equity is hard to get into unless you have previous background in investment or whatnot. But like, you get the gist, right? A lot of different companies from a lot of different industries, a lot of different functions come on campus to recruit you. Whereas if you go to law school or if you go to med school, like, you're going to be a lawyer or you're going to be a doctor. And imagine being like year 4 of med school and year 3 of med school. You're absolutely miserable, but you have $150,000 of sunk cost in the 3 years of your life, and you have no choice but to finish. But you're just dying and you hate life. And after that, you have 4 years of residency where you're making peanuts and you're working 90 hours a week. Like, you better have conviction that you want to be a doctor. Whereas business school, 2 years, getting in is the hardest part. Business school is not actually that hard unless you take really hard classes, which you can choose to do if you want to academically challenge yourself. And after that, the world is your oyster. You can do a variety of different things. So business school is the professional education for the undecided veteran. And in my research, I discovered that.
What was it like for you from a culture perspective to transition out of the service, which was the thing you had done from high school, and then going straight into academia? What was that like for you?
So cringe. I was so cringe. Honestly, I would slap the shit out of myself if I went back to 2013 when I started business school. I remember we had this orientation, a 2-day orientation. Yeah, and some of it includes some obstacle team building shit, right? Like, same kind of shit that you do at officer candidate school. So I was like, all right. I was like, I'm going to organize everyone. And I'm going to freaking lead. I'm going to have bias for action. I'm like, do this. And then some former McKinsey consultant came to me and said, hey, Sonny, I could give you some feedback, man. Can't do that. All right. In the private sector, what we do is we discuss a plan. We build consensus. We get everyone to agree. And we do things. You can't just go tell everyone what to do. And that was a little bit of an awakening for me in terms of the different culture that I'm stepping into. Because in the Marine Corps, you reward that kind of initiative. And in private sector, you do things differently. And I think he was right. Even to this day, as a startup founder, theoretically, I'm the king of the castle. But any big decision, I run by my leadership team. Hey, what do you guys think of this? What do you guys think of this? Because making business decisions is very different than if you're a platoon commander. Like, if the Taliban is coming after you and you have this much time to make a freaking decision on how to defeat the enemy and keep your Marines alive, one person needs to make that fucking call.
Yeah.
And make a split-second decision. In business, you generally have time, right? There's nothing that's, okay, well, Lieutenant, you got freaking 10 minutes to make a decision, right? There are very few things that are like that. And so you want to collect as many perspectives, as much data as possible before you make that decision. And it's rarely one person that's, okay, I'm the king of the castle. I had a boss that once said, when I speak, you shut up, right? Leading that way just doesn't work. People can walk. They don't have to work for you. Okay. They don't have to give their best effort. And it's a lot more about collaborative decision making. So that's a culture shock that I got when I got into business school. And I was able to, I think, adjust my leadership style really well. I think there are some values in the Marine Corps that I really took to heart and I take to heart to this day. The concept of like mission, team, self, the concept of leaders eat last, the concept of you lead by example with the selflessness, the concept of the needs of organization come first. Right? Then you step into the world of kind of MBA programs where everyone's very capital. They're very like impressive and intelligent, but very capitalistic. Everything is about like how can I achieve the maximum financial gain for myself? Almost like 90% of things are about that. And a lot of my classmates also come from like very privileged backgrounds. Like I talked about my lower middle class background. The mom made $12 an hour. Like, and there's people that come from a lot of privilege. So every time the school is off for some reason, people will go on trips abroad or go on fancy like 3 Michelin star dinners and things like that. And there's a lot of pressure to keep up with the Joneses. And I just felt like more and more, I just didn't want to deal with these people. They're just not the same type of people that I am. And it's nothing, I'm not criticizing them. It's just like my background and my upbringing and my time in the Marine Corps. And it's just so different from people who come from upper middle class or even upper class, come from a lot of family wealth, went to Ivy League universities, and now they're a top business school and their sole focus in life is how can I make as much money as humanly possible. And there just ends up not being a lot to talk about. So I was a person in business school that didn't have a lot of friends, and I was okay with that. I walked away with 3 or 4 friends that I count to be very close, and I love them with all my heart. But I was not the guy that got invited to a wedding every 2 months, and I was fine with that. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. What advice would you have for people? It seems like you've got a very strong sense of like identity and self. You're moving through these chapters of your life, but you understand who you are. And how do you think you've been able to do that? Because I think for a lot of people, they really are almost a victim of their environment in a lot of different cases, and you don't seem like someone who's like that. So what do you think enables you to be that way?
I think that's very lofty praise for me, and I would actually disagree. I think that developed over time, especially after I became a founder. In fact, when I was in business school, I had a huge inferiority complex over my classmates. Huge imposter syndrome, inferiority complex. I went to a state school. I didn't have a high GPA. I didn't study STEM. I didn't get into McKinsey, Bain, or BCG. And you have classmates who went to Stanford, Yale, Columbia, Harvard, who got jobs at Google, Goldman Sachs, McKinsey, BCG, very selective Lazard, like private equity groups and whatnot. And I look at myself and I look at them and I felt less than. But over time, then even as my career progressed, like early on after business school, you see my classmates like getting into jobs that are paying 300K plus. And I'm still stuck in the mid 100s. And then that inferiority complex compounds even more. But everybody has to discover their own path. One of my closest friends from business school got laid off from Blue Apron. And I posted about him before. He's a full-time social media influencer now. He's got an MBA from a top 5 school, top 5 business school. And he's a social media influencer. Can he make a lot of money doing that? Right now, no. Like he can make enough money to barely get by. Someday, maybe. But he has so much passion for what he does. Like his channel just spreads such a positive message, and he gets a lot of feedback from his audience on how it's been life-changing. He's a devout Christian, and that's part of kind of his mission. He just loves what he does. It brings him so much joy. Okay, he doesn't make 500K like some of our classmates do, but he gets a lot of joy about from what he does. And I don't think he feels inferior. So same thing with me, right? Like after I became a founder, I'm like, okay, this is my path. This is what I'm decent at. I get a chance to build a company, do what I love, work with amazing, incredible people. And I'm talking like all three legs. We got amazing investors. We have amazing customers. And sometimes the customers can be difficult, but that's any company. And we got amazing team members, right? It's such a privilege to wake up every single morning and get to work with them. And yeah, I don't draw a $500,000 plus salary like some of my classmates from business school. Yeah, I'm not a partner at Bain, but I no longer feel inferior. I feel like I've found my path, and I feel like I found a very rewarding path that's right for me. And I think that everybody, whether you're a transitioning veteran or somebody else, you have to go and discover what that path is for you. And you can't look at everybody else who's conventionally successful and be like, fuck, like I'm a loser because I didn't achieve that. If you end up like that, you'll be very, very.
I think that for a lot of veterans, we're so used to the structure of the military when we get out that moving into a world that's very much like your call is really difficult. And so for you, where the stakes are even higher raised because it really is your call and it can go anywhere because you're king of the castle, how do you deal with that? Or how do you think people can deal with that?
I think people in the military, it depends on what branch you're in, what MOS is, on what you did, right? I was a POG, I pushed paper, but like I have a lot of friends who are combat arms or infantry, even some. Look, when you're in fucking cop bumblefuck in goddamn like RC East, and there's no major fob within 50 miles of you, like it's the same thing, man. You're a platoon commander, you're in charge, and your men are counting on you. And I guess building, like, look, I've never done that, so I'm just assuming, right? But like building a startup is similar. And there's going to be fog of war, just like my fog of war of trying out a lot of vendors and trying a lot of employees and refining my pitches. And you just keep trying, collecting data and using that data to make sure you get it closer to being right the second time. It's all you can do, man. Seriously, it's all you can do. The reason why investors like repeat founders even if they failed before, because they know that they hope that you learn from your failures in the past, you do better in the future. Even if Actuate died 2 years ago, like I will be a better founder today on my next company than I was 3 years ago because of all those lessons learned, because of all those mistakes I'm not going to make again. And in the military, if you're deployed and you're in command and you're out there in the middle of nowhere, you're going to have to make some of these same mistakes. So, yeah. But not everyone gets that chance. I think it sounds like, all you see is nails when you have a hammer. But go to the best possible school you can get into. It sounds super elitist, but rankings matter. The reason why rankings matter is because 30 years ago, if you went to university, you're already separated from everyone else who didn't go to university. We're in a market now where everybody went to university. Almost everybody. So if you want to compete for a high-paying position and you're not bringing very specific industry experience or expertise, come from the military, start out fresh, what's going to set you apart? What's like the easiest way to set you apart is if you went to a better university than everyone else. You don't have to go to Harvard, but at least try to get into your flagship state university. Like if you're from Connecticut, try to get into UConn, right? UGA, Florida, it's a great schools. And that's going to give you a leg up that's going to reverberate throughout the rest of your life. If you're not academically inclined, there's a lot of jobs out there that are sorely needed that will pay you a lot of money. And people don't perceive these to be prestigious jobs. So who gives a shit what people think? The society needs mechanics and truck drivers and plumbers, right? Like you can make a heck of a lot of money. You can even start your own business in one of these trades. Welders, right? Like I can guarantee robotics is not replacing these jobs anytime in your future, including truck drivers. We are not getting self-driving trucks for another 20 years. I can promise you that. The last mile of making self-driving cars just as safe as a competent driver, and you have to figure out the liability issue of in case you cause an accident. It's not going to happen for another 20 years. If you're not academically inclined, go into trades. Don't waste your time and money, even if you're getting a GI Bill, on a bullshit degree that's going to add no value. Because you can wait 4 years of opportunity cost where you're not making money. Your degree is not going to be worth that much. You're 4 years older, and then you're getting out 4 years older with no job experience, right? So I think the choice should be close to binary. Go into trades. A lot of them pay really well. And it's perfectly respectable. But if you're academically inclined, go to the best school you can possibly get into. I would go one of those two routes if I were getting out of the military.
Hey, everybody. I really hope that you liked this supercut of the Post-Military Podcast. If you did and you want to see more, I would recommend that you check out the whole episode, which is here on YouTube and also on multiple different podcasting platforms. If you like this and you want to support the channel, I would ask that you give the video a like, subscribe, and share the content with those who might need to hear it. Thanks so much, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode. Peace.